up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us.
They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
What's up, everybody? You are tuned in. It is 8 o'clock. It is Monday. It is Central Standard Time. It is November 21st. You are tuned into the Drive-In Speaker Box. I am your host, Bo, the Boom Operator. And that's it. It's just me. It's just me, you guys. It's just me. Everyone calm down. Jake has been kidnapped by ninja assassins. And as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to, 80s training montage myself into combat attire, and I'm going to go rescue him and then save the president. He had to work tonight, so he's not going to be with us tonight, but you get me. You get me instead, which I think is equally as good. So tonight we're going to be talking about the menu. So that I got to see. I caught that last night at a late show, had theater mostly to myself, and then some late stragglers came in, which was kind of a bummer. And I had already posted about it on Instagram. I was like, oh, look at me. I got the theater to myself. This is so wonderful. And then the movie starts, and 5 minutes in, some buttholes roll in and sit down and proceed to talk through most of the movie, and I wanted to just straight up boot kick him in the back of the head, but I didn't, because I'm nice, and that's what you got to do. But anyway, thanks for joining us. If you've been with us on Twitch, we've actually been chit-chatting for the past half hour. If you follow us on Twitch, you can get into that behind-the-scenes stuff. We can just converse, we can just talk, and we can just share our real, authentic selves without all of this internet, whatever getting in the way. We can say curse words. We say curse words around here, but I try to limit it for the actual show, because it's going on Spotify, where you can download these podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, or on Facebook, where kids may watch, and then over here on YouTube Live. So wherever you want to see it, we're here for you, because we're nice like that. Yeah. So what's going on, guys? Catching up in the comments section. We got a lot of comments going. A lot of people just tuning in on Facebook, a couple people on the YouTube, a lot of people on Twitch. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Drive-In Speaker Box studio. Vince says, look at this frame. Isn't this frame? It's a beautiful frame. Isn't the set beautiful? Maybe since it's just me, I should drink out of the Jesus's cup from Indiana Jones. Wouldn't that be? I don't know if this is safe, or it could give me eternal life or melt my face off, because I don't know if this is the real one. But I am a little nervous about it. But I do have it. Yeah, I spent in the behind the scenes. You get to see the set before all the lights come on and are dialed in and focus is pulled and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Behind the scenes content. And for more behind the scenes content, you can follow us on our Discord, which is there in a link in one of these three areas pinned to the deal. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, let's get into the news, guys. It's been another week. No one super tragic has died this week, thankfully. I haven't really been paying too much attention to the news, just because, it's holiday time. It's Thanksgiving week, you guys. There's a lot of stuff going on. Velvet Santa did mention on Twitch Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, and this is kind of sad, because he committed suicide, and that is, it's never a laughing matter. It's never something to joke around about, and it is something that is relatively prevalent, English language, in the entertainment industry, and I think, when I think about the private lives of celebrities, and especially kind of one trick wonders, or has-beens or whatever, and just kind of constantly living your life through the lens of the only time you were ever successful. I mean, that just has to be some other just bizarre otherworldly pressure that I can't imagine. Because you can never separate from that, you know. You can some people lean into it and enjoy it, but there's always got to be a lingering thing that, and you know, I cannot begin to explain like what he experienced with depression. As a person who has dealt with, you know, I don't want to go too deep into my personal life, but you know, I deal with depression as well. And it's not easy. And a lot of people, especially in entertainment, you know, that are good at it, it's, you know, you're able to turn that switch on and hide it from the world. And you know, it's really tragic when you see stuff like that. But you know, pour one out to the Green Ranger. He was at every Comic-Con that I think has ever been ever. He just went around and did all those circuits. I was never a big Power Rangers fan. Mainly because I'd just rather watch Ultraman and Godzilla, which is what those shows are based off of. But you know, I was a kid when all that was coming around, and it was quite a thing. So, Green Ranger, whatever. I think this is what they did, right? I don't know. Whatever. But that's sad. Sad news. Sad news. So we'll get that out of the way. Blah. Over. Man, let's see. Other news that I mean, it's just been, again, another very Indiana Jones. It's just Disney heavy. You know, more Ant-Man trailers in theaters right now. Indiana Jones 5, everybody's talking about. They did some de-aging on him on the opening scene. But they need to de-age those joints in his knees because, you know, that's another thing that you just can't de-age, is just the physical mannerisms of being 1,000 years old. It was kind of like, I think it was, what is that, Captain Marvel, where they de-aged Samuel L. Jackson, and then there's like a scene where he's like running, and he is running not of a 20-some-odd-year-old man. He is running as a some-odd billion-old man, and it just is really uncomfortable to watch. But Furious Apology says, sorry, just joined. Did you cover the Disney leadership change? No, not yet. Because is it really a leadership change? Because it's just Bob Iger, who, you know, we're just back. It's a reboot, if you will. It's, you know, Bob Chapek, you know, he's been the CEO for 2 years, whatever, during the worst probably years to ever be a CEO of a media company. And then you got Bob Classic coming in. You're just changing Bobs, which I don't know. Maybe they're robots. Maybe they're like Manchurian candidates. I don't know. They just did a firmware reset on Bob 2.0, and now we're back to, they just rolled back to a previous version of Bob. I don't know, and I think that it's going to probably, you know, please investors and proponents of just giant unstoppable media conglomerates, because, you know, Iger was the one that made Disney stock just, you know, completely crush. And as their sort of just bloodlust for intellectual property has skyrocketed under his leadership, where they're just gobbling up. I mean, I guess under Iger's reign, they gobbled up Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm. I think it was towards the end. He was still CEO when they gobbled up 20th Century Fox. And, you know, I mean, he's 71. Like, stop. Just. Do you need more? Like, just fucking retire, dude. But maybe he's just one of those dudes that just has to do it. He's just like fueled by Satan or whatever. And I don't know. Bob Iger can just go die in a trash can fire. Like, I don't, you know, Disney. Oh man. Oh, Channel Points Reward waffle party. Yes, we will do a waffle party. Bob Iger. I mean, I just. And I guess it just really reaffirms my unfortunate understanding and acceptance that the world is blind to most things. Because, you know, when so much of a population and a culture can idolize and worship a company that is just absolutely, completely, unabashedly evil, that but they're like, but I really like Iron Man, dude. I thought the Thor movie, Taika Waititi, man, it's so good. My kids love the Disney princesses. And, you know, there's a point where it's just like, I'm a big supporter of separating the art from the artist, but there's a point now that I'm past that Disney, just like, if it's got Disney's name on it, I'm afraid of it. You know, I mean, pretty much it's going to be like Soylent Disney, and it's all going to be made of people. And, you know, it probably already is that way. I don't know. Like the Magic Kingdom, the magic is fueled by something evil and nefarious, and none of us need to know what it is. Velvet Santa says we'll never get that Bo Disney Plus series. No, you're never going to get that. Who's head of Disney? Yeah, who's head of Disney's good guy? Man, you know, you talk about the Bob Iger, you talk about other Bob, you know, man, Bob Chapek, Bob Iger, Bob Odenkirk, they all Bobs to me, man. It's just like, just keep giving me hot, greased up, half-naked, real funny Australian dudes with axes and real funny furry sidekicks, man, and I'm gonna just be sold for eternity, man. You just keep on squeezing the infantile fetus of my children for every dollar they can possibly squeeze, and you just make another spaceship. You just take every memory from my childhood and you just pump it into that machine and duplicate it until it's nothing but ash, and then you add water to it, mix it up, put it back into there, feed it to me again, and I will continue to consume, baby. 'Cause go Disney. Fuck that, man. It's crazy. Why would anybody do that? Meanwhile, Wakanda Forever making all of the money. What kind of world is this? But yes, that happened. We will have Disney movies for the rest of our life, and foreseeable lives of our children. All progeny in perpetuity will be subjugated to the whims and will of Disney. So, anyway. But speaking of Wakanda Forever, it is not necessarily going crazy at the box office. It calmed down. It's still number one, but it did calm down. Night Owl, she says, Bo does an accent, take a shot, the drinking game. I mean, yeah, that's what I did. I can't remember if I put booze in this in the pre-roll behind the scenes or after, but there is booze in this. Yeah. Speaking of accents, Ryan Johnson, you know, the new Glass Onion hitting theaters pretty soon, and getting a huge paycheck from Netflix. And this is, you know, this movie is really important for Netflix because this is a theatrical release for Netflix, you know, another big theatrical release for Netflix films. So it's going to be in theaters, select theaters nationwide for, I want to say, pretty soon, if not this weekend. I'm going to have to take a look. I thought I saw tickets on sale for Glass Onion this early as this weekend, but it's not everywhere. I think that we're getting it here in Northwest Arkansas at our local Malco, but it's not going to be in our AMC. But, you know, if you want to see James Bond do a really butchered accent. And speaking of Taika Waititi, that stupid Belvedere vodka commercial, like, he's no longer James Bond, except for this whole commercial looks like he's James Bond. Like, I understand Daniel Craig wanting to separate himself from James Bond, but hey, bro, you took the paycheck and continued to take the paycheck, and then also continued to take the paycheck, and then took the paycheck again. You could have said no, but you didn't. You took the money. So you're James Bond. Deal with it. Actions have consequences. And actions have consequences. Yeah. Glass Onion coming out. What else going on in the movie world? James Cameron, more Way of the Water. We were talking about this in the pre-roll segment of the show, where this movie's got to make like $4 billion to be profitable. But I mean, it's James Cameron. Who cares? They're gonna keep making these things. They're gonna and what we were talking about in the before times before we started the show was how this movie is not really engineered to make money at the box office. It is engineered to make money transactionally. It is engineered to sell tickets to the Disney World experience of whatever the Avatar world is called. I can't. Can anyone remember what the world is called, where all the blue people that get all the furries horny? It's got a name, and it's terrible. And the movie always makes me forget that they're like 70 feet tall or whatever. Pandora. Yeah, that's right. The dumbest name for a world ever. It's so stupid. But yeah, I mean, I've seen the trailer constantly on the theatrical screen. I mean, the graphics look cool. I mean, it's got good CGI, whatever. I mean, it still looks so terrible. Like, I just don't understand why people are excited about this movie. And I mean, it made so much money overseas, and maybe it's because it's like watching an anime that it's got way more of an international appeal. But I don't understand the appeal to Avatar. Like, unless there's just that many horny furries in the world, I don't know. If you're a horny furry, that's fine. I don't have Jake to side on me every time I say horny furry, so I'm gonna just go ahead and take advantage of that while I can, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Whatever gets your rocks off, but to make a $4 billion movie about it, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, as Vince said over on Twitch, he said the box office re-release kind of shut me up. People actually do care. And yeah, I was dumbfounded at how much money that movie made additionally at the re-release in the box office. It's just like, what? But are we that starved? Are we that starved for content? And are we at this point where so many people have kind of heard about it? And is Avatar on any streaming services? I mean, I don't care enough to ever have looked. But maybe they just didn't know, and they're like, well, maybe I've never seen the most profitable movie of all time, which therefore means the best, by modern thought. It's Worthington's Law, if you guys want to Google that from Mr. Show. More money equals better than. And maybe that's why they all just went out and saw it again. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's on Disney Plus. Of course it is, because Disney owns it. You can rent it or buy it, but it is not free. Okay, got it. Well, that also makes sense. Again, microtransactions, you guys. And that is where we are all going. You know, I've had the conversation again today. Not today, this week. Here in Drive-In Speaker Box World, a day is represented by a fortnight. And we have... time is not linear. It's a lot like Severance, which I finally watched. I finally actually watched it. For Vince, he's been begging me to watch this show, and I did, and it's on Apple Plus, which I don't have. But Vince, being the awesome viewer that he is, got me a screener. And I watched it. I watched the whole series this past week, and it's great. But that cliffhanger ending can go straight to hell. Definitely, if you're fans of, I like to when I watch a film, I do it like I'm tasting a wine or a scotch for the first time, and I'll just like turn on a film and I'll be like, yeah, I'm getting notes of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Definitely getting a little bit of Office Space notes mixed with a little bit of I Heart Huckabees. Yeah, very and a little bit of Kubrick visuals. Very nice. Very nice. Some 2001. A little bit of that stuff. Very nice. So yeah, that's kind of what I was the notes I was getting from watching Severance, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun, exciting, new sort of action thriller that you don't normally get in a TV show. But that twist, that cliffhanger ending can just go lick my butt. Anyway, yes, hashtag waffle party. Twitter isn't really copyright checking right now, so Avatar's probably on there. Oh, yeah, that's other fun news I was going to mention. I hadn't had it in my notes yet. But, yeah, people are putting movies like Hackers, which is a hilarious movie to put out there because I don't think anybody's going to watch it, even though it's great. And I dressed up as Dade for Halloween this year. I was a friend of mine came up to town and we were crash and burn. It's pretty cool. I don't have a picture of it though, but it was one of my costumes this year. Was being Dade. James says a little Wes Anderson. Yeah, there's a little. Some of the composition is slightly color palette wise a little Wes Anderson, where it jumps in and does like rotate cuts and fun things like that. But I enjoyed it. But anyway, yes, finally got around to it. I know it's been out there for a while, and I don't want to go into like a deep dive on Severance because it's a little bit older content. But I really enjoyed it. So there you have that. Yeah, let's talk about what's coming out in theaters this weekend, by the way, because it is Thanksgiving weekend. So a lot of these movies are going to be coming out a day early. So they come out on Wednesday this week because it is Turkey Day, and theaters are generally open on Turkey Day, just like Christmas. Be nice to your theater workers. Be nice and respectful because they are there on their holiday while you are not. You are there as their guest. So if you're concession stand person is completely incompetent and I would normally get mad at them, I'm going to be nice to them because they are there on a day that we are getting off. So if your popcorn is not of the optimal buttered temperature that you like, fucking deal with it because they are getting slammed and it is going to be a busy day for them. And as Velvet Santa says on Twitch, always put your cups and popcorn containers in the trash. Like, you know, that should just be a simple human response to being in a place where other humans dwell and work. Like, put your fucking trash away. Be an adult. Like, you know, like, are we... Well, I don't need to answer that because, yes, I know the answer. Most humans are just worthless trash. But just throwing away, leaving shit all over the floor. Like, I get it. You drop a little popcorn, whatever. Okay, that's what they're there for. They're not there to be your freaking servants and pick up all your wrappers from the candy that you smuggled in, which you should have been buying from the concession stand anyway. If you really want to support your theater, I get it. If you have like dietary restrictions, you want to bring some carrot sticks or whatever, a healthy snack, go for it. That's great. But if you bring some fucking M&Ms in because it's cheaper down the street, like, eat a dick because like you should be eating the M&Ms at the movie theater to support the movie theater. Yes, I get it, they're $5, but if you understood the economics of a movie theater and why they need to charge that much, then just you're there. You're paying for the experience. You're not paying for the fucking M&Ms. So it's the same when people like go, well, is a Miller Lite $4 at your bar when I can go to the store and get one for $1.25? And I go, well, it cost me $1.38 for that same thing, and then I'm taxed 20% on it, and then all of this stuff that you're enjoying while you're here that you chose to come here and drink costs fucking money, dude. And like, that's what you're paying for. That's why all that shit's expensive. Yes, we understand. M&Ms are cheaper than $6. Yes, 100%. Still buy them. And yes, like James says, I think people feel entitled for the price. And it's not that much entitlement. Like, you are not owed the ability to be a horrible piece of shit just because you spent $20. Like, your $20 isn't that important. You are not that important. Clean up your mess. Mark Landry. Ooh, deep cuts, Mark. Mark Landry. So that was a dare. And I bought a soda I smuggled in a Thanksgiving dinner to a movie theater on a dare. I was also young. Yes, and I did it. I absolutely did it. And it was awesome. I'd do it again, but I would also buy the soda and the M&Ms. They don't serve Thanksgiving dinner at the concession stand. If they did, I'd buy it. Like the Malco here makes a lovely cheeseburger. And it comes with fries, and it's only like $8.99. Like, that's super dirt cheap. Like, that's cheaper than McDonald's almost. Like, eat the cheeseburger at the theater. It's good. Do your theater a favor. Anyway, okay, don't put your paper towels down the toilet. Actually, funny thing about paper towels down the toilet, I was eating at a McAllister's the other day because I had a craving for that jalapeno crunch sandwich, the one that has like potato chips on it, which I don't know like what stoned out kitchen worker was like, dude, you know the way I like to do it at home? You put the chips in the sandwich, bro. And then like the CFO of McAllister was like, this is amazing. Let's put it on the menu. Anyway, I had a craving for that fucking stoner-ass sandwich. And I went to McAllister's, and then I went to the bathroom. Because I'm a guy that, like, after I eat, especially now that I have facial hair, I go to the washroom, and I wash my hands, and then I wash my face so I don't smell avocado and jalapeno on my mouth all freaking day because I like to live a clean life. And I went to go I went to urinate, and in the toilet was a wad of paper towels. Not toilet paper, paper towels. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And I'm like, the audacity, right? Like, why? Well, there was perfectly good toilet paper right there. Why didn't you go all the way over to the sink area to get the paper towels and then to proceed to put them in the toilet? Could you not be troubled to put them in the lavatory bin? And there happened to be a plunger brush scrubber there, and I fished out the paper towels and put them in the trash can where they go, like a good human would do. I did that. Because I try to contribute to society. Because if there wasn't people like me, society would collapse and it would be chaos in the street. Damn it. Movie Albert said, like the behind the scenes stuff. Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know you were in the stream there. Yeah. I'm a hero. Merle, thanks for the subscribes. Good human subs. Because we should. We, like, in the words of Bill and Ted. Where's my Bill and Ted? Here we go. Let me get up to the upper cam here and let's focus in on Bill and Ted. Yeah. Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes. That is the way we should live our lives, by the teachings of Bill S. Preston, Esquire, and Ted Theodore Logan. Like, that's the way we should live our lives, because we're all in this together. Anyway, where was I going? Movies that are coming out this weekend. They're coming out early on November 23rd. We're getting The Fabelmans. We're getting and there's a part of me that just wants to immediately call this the most back-pattingly, self-strokingly love letter to oneself. But I will save that. I will not put a period at the end of that sentence. You know, I will leave it unsent in my draft box until I see this movie. But Steven Spielberg's like sort of autobiographical something, The Fabelmans, coming out. As Mark Landry said on YouTube, St. Davis High School football rules. So, funny story about that. If you want more stories of real life me outside of the studio, when I was in college, you know how everybody has to take one of those courses where it's just like public speaking, right? Which I'm incredibly good at. Hence this show where I'm talking in a box to myself. But now we have people to interact with, which is fun. But so I'm giving my speech. And, you know, of course, like, this movie is before my time, or a lot of people, you know, like, it was a deep cut for whatever reason until now. I guess people are cool with it. because Keanu Reeves. But at the end of my speech that I was giving for the class, I paused for a moment, gave it 2 beats, and then went, San Dimas High School football rules. It didn't land at all. Nobody knew what I was talking about. I mean, even the crickets were like, and then they stopped, and they're like, what? Yeah, and I thought I was going to be the funniest dude on the planet, and no one talked to me for like a week because they all thought I was insane. But yeah, anyway, I really tried to pull the San Dimas High School football rules line in an actual public speaking setting, and it didn't work. And I continued to do it. I did it once at a board meeting a long time ago, and it didn't work there either, so I don't do it anymore. But anyway, Velvet says, I'm going to go see Devotion with my dad and brother. That'll be good. That is coming out as well. Devotion is a movie about a pair of U.S. Navy fighter pilots risking their lives during the Korean War and becoming one of Navy's most celebrated wingmen. So if you didn't get enough Top Gun action during the 15 million weeks that Top Gun was out, we're going to have at least 6 more opportunities to have movies about famous pilots in theaters over the next 6 months. You can check that out. Let's see. A waitress that served you never seen Tommy Boy. Oof. Pretty sure Jake does the San Dimas show now. Does he? I mean, he. I think he could deliver it with a little more bro-esque than I could. Vince says, I would wait till retire until you try it at a funeral. Maybe at my funeral, when someone reads my eulogy, that will be the unprinted part. It'll be just like for the person reading it, and it'll be there at the very end. And because originally on my tombstone, I was going to say the one guy that died and never saw Titanic, but I dated a girl that dragged me to the theater when they re-released that in theaters, because I was very proud of the fact that I'd never seen Titanic. And it became a badge of honor. I never wanted to see it. Just because like everybody else had seen it. And then finally, because of booty, you know how that works, I was like, okay, fine, I'll go see Titanic, retwist my arm. But stupid me, we ended up breaking up anyway, and I shouldn't have. I'm stupid. So, but the things you'll do for love. Anyway, also coming out, Strange World, which has had one of the most unusual ad campaigns that I've ever seen out of a Disney movie. It's about a family of explorers whose differences threaten to topple their latest and most crucial mission. And, I mean, there's not a whole lot of reveals in the trailers to these movies, and it's very much selling it like a 1950s sort of like, see the wonderful lasers, action, all that kind of classic Hollywood sci-fi, but some cool voices. I mean, you've got Jake Gyllenhaal, you've got Alan Tudyk, he's always great. You've got Lucy Liu, you've got Dennis Quaid. Interesting movie. Again, it's just that sort of Disney big round nose animation. I just want a hand drawn animation. The CGI animation. I'm just so over it. But James is Lost in Space, big Lost in Space vibes. It's out. I don't know if I'm really that excited to go see it. Maybe I'll see it. I don't know. Also coming out in theaters this weekend with Timothée Chalamet. It's called Bones and All. It is about a young woman named Marin learning how to survive on the outskirts of society, and it's Timothée Chalamet road movie, a coming of age movie. Looks pretty interesting. I don't know. We'll see it. Movie Albert asks, have you seen The Banshees of Inisherin? Yes, I did. I reviewed that 2 episodes ago, I believe. Really enjoyed it. I'll give you the recap of that review. Definitely not for everyone. I I really, really enjoyed that movie, but I also really enjoy Martin McDonagh films. I've enjoyed all of his movies. I think he's an incredible writer-director. But if his style of writing and character development is not your thing, then this movie would not be for you. But it was really wonderful seeing Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson back on stage together since their movie In Bruges, that was also a Martin McDonagh film. I think it's not an easy movie to explain. It was kind of difficult to review it, as is most Martin McDonagh films, but it's really more about character development and those relationships between those characters. And I thought it was a great film. It was one of those movies when I left the theater, I kept thinking about it and kept thinking about these characters. And for two celebrities that I mean, Brendan Gleeson, of course, most people are like, oh, it's Mad-Eye Moody from Harry Potter. But for these people to be so transformative and immersive at these characters is a testament to Martin McDonagh's quality and skill as a writer to be able to write these characters that you kind of just fall in love with and believe and want to know more about. I thought it was great, and it's still playing in a limited amount of theaters nationwide. If you get a chance, if it's in your city, I think that you should check it out. Banshees of Inisherin. Which took a lot of practice to be able to roll that off the tongue confidently. Anyway, so those are your 4 movies. Bones and All looks pretty good. Fabelmans, it's Spielberg. Strange World looks strange. And Devotion, war movie. So you got a lot of options this holiday weekend, a lot of stuff to see. But the one that I think you should see is the one that's already in theaters right now that we're going to be talking about next. I'm going to take a sip of water. And then I'm going to take a sip of alcoholic Coke Zero. And then we're going to be talking about The Menu, ladies and gentlemen. The Menu. This is the film that I saw this weekend. It is the new not the old Menu. There's been another Menu, 2016 Menu. The Menu, directed by Mark Mylod. Starring Ray Fiennes, Anna Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult. I mean, kind of a fun ensemble cast. You've got Anna Taylor-Joy, Janet McTeer, Paul Adelstein, John Leguizamo. You've got, even Judith Light coming in here, and Reed Birney, like people that have been in a lot of different movies. It's an interesting cast, but it is very much the Ray Fiennes show. He's incredible on screen. And my one sentence is I absolutely loved this movie. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, perfect runtime. Hour and 47 minutes. Like, I know I told you like last week or whatever, I wanted to go see Wakanda Forever. I pulled it up on my phone. I was going to get tickets, and it's like 2 hours and 48 minutes long. And I'm like, that's going to be almost 4 hours of my day because I got to go get to the theater. You sit down, you get the trailers. That's 27 minutes. And then you got to you're basically contractually obligated to sit through the credits to see the last, 2 seconds of someone going, I'm a new character. Bam, 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 bam. And, you're 4 hours in. I don't have that kind of time. Especially not for a movie that I'm just marginally interested in. But The Menu, amazing runtime. Also, black comedy. Love them. It's not a horror movie. It is credited as being like a horror comedy. Do not think of this movie as a horror movie. I think if people go into this movie thinking that it's going to be a horror film, like a scary film, they're going to be disappointed. And, I find movies that I really, really enjoy, I go and read reviews of people that hated it. And this movie, like, oh man, it's so meta because the negative reviews of this movie are kind of who this movie is about, which is kind of fun to read these reviews. And you're like, well, of course you didn't like this movie because this movie is about you. And, really, really interesting. Vince says, I've been watching a lot of older movies, 20s, 30s, and 40s lately, and they are just over an hour. Such a joy. Yes, 89 minutes. 89 minutes. It is the magic number. You can get 10 or 15 minutes plus or minus on those, and you're going to be good. But just under 2 hours? Like, oh my God. And generally, like, runtime includes credits. So, a lot of people don't realize that. It's not till, like, the last scene, fade to black. It is end roll credits, right? Hour and 47 minutes. That's really about an hour and 40 minutes. Okay. That's 110 minutes. If you subtract credits, great runtime. Perfecto. But this movie is incredibly social commentary-esque, right? I don't want to spoil this movie for anybody. No spoiler alerts. I try really hard to not mention spoiler alert parts, but this movie, I think, also strikes a chord with me specifically, or anyone that's ever worked in hospitality or service industry. And by hospitality and service, like worked in a bar, worked in a restaurant, worked in a kitchen, worked in, anywhere where you're serving others. And to a lesser extent, even retail, where, you are being viewed as the help, essentially, right? Where you come into a place, like we're kind of the callback for tonight is respecting your theater workers and these people where you kind of dehumanize them because you feel like because you paid, $20 for your ticket that you can just be an asshole and leave your fucking popcorn trash everywhere and all your wrappers that you brought in from outside that you were not even supposed to have in the first place, and you leave the trash all over the place. And you're like, well, it's not my job to clean it up. And it's like, yeah, it is your job as a human. Your job is to be a basic human being, right? And this movie's kind of about that. And I love it because I deal with these people all the freaking time. And so it takes one level of social commentary from like class warfare. It's the proletariat versus the bourgeoisie. You've got this working class group of people that are still, while they're being heralded as being at the top of their game, they're still working class, right? One of the interesting parts of this movie is, we all like watch these cooking shows where, David Chin's got all these shows on Netflix, and, we worship guys like the Hell's Kitchen guy, Gordon Ramsay, and you see these celebrity chefs, these Bobby Flays, and we've got all of these people that were just like, oh yeah, and I mean Anthony Bourdain. I think Anthony Bourdain is going to be somebody that I call back to a lot on this. And we worship these guys, and we think that, oh well, they must be so, they are in charge. It is their show. But at the end of the day, they're really only as powerful as their angel investors that own their restaurants, or, the people that come in and eat their food and give them good reviews. And, you're still very much in a position of service. And this movie kind of plays into that and talks about how difficult that is, especially when the people that you serve continue to treat you like shit, right? And this movie is about a restaurant that is done with it and is kind of over it. And there's a lot of things that are unexplainable, and they play with interesting themes of just like how powerful these people really are. But at the end of the day, are they really going to do anything? When you take people that are so rich and powerful and you strip them of that wealth being power, they become kind of powerless. Some of the reviews I read were like, why didn't these people fight back? And it's generally probably what's good guys. Like, man, I'd have pulled out my gun and I'd have shot that MFer in the face, man. I don't know why they didn't fight back. And it's like, well, you're not understanding the dichotomy between people whose sole power is on status, clout, and money, right? Well, and if you bring them in a room where none of that matters anymore, a lot of them don't know what to do. They become crippled. And they have no skill, and they have no other than just authority and money. And that's what this movie plays with, is like what happens when you take these people that really, there's givers and there's takers, and there's kind of two teams. And that's where Anna Taylor-Joy's character comes into play, is because she's not supposed to be at this dinner. She becomes an additional +1 to Nicholas Holt's character, who, you find out that most of the guests, and it happens relatively quickly, so it's not really a spoiler, that almost most of the 90%, 99%, minus Anna Taylor-Joy, the people that are at this dinner are humongous pieces of shit, right? And, the chef immediately notices, because game respect game in the service industry. A service industry person when you see one. And they call out to that, and he's just like, you don't belong here. I know somebody that works in service. Like, you're one of us. You don't belong here. Why are you here? And he's like, I'm going to give you a choice. You're either with them or you're with us. And there's this you ride this line through the course of this film where, Ray Fiennes is a sympathetic villain. He is very much the villain in this, and his staff is very much the villain. They are the bad guys, but you kind of are rooting for them, unless you don't understand what this movie's about, and then you're giving it a 1-star review because you're one of those people that would give this thing a 1-star review because it wasn't 100% to your liking. And these people are punished for it, and in specific ways, and it's all a part of the menu. And the menu is this overarching theme that he's like, you have to wait till the end because I'm telling you a story. This is what you want, right? This is what you pay for. This is what you expect out of me. So let me finish. And it's so much fun. And it's split into little vignettes, well, not full vignettes because it's, there's no hard cuts, but each thing is presented in courses, and there's like just hilarious inserts of each dish that he presents is a new theme that he is exploring to punish these people. And, it'll bring up the dish and it'll explain it, and it has, the ingredients, and sometimes when those ingredients and maybe include cutting a dude's finger off for punishment, it'll kind of list these little fun things, and it's just so much fun. I don't want to explain scenes word for word because then I don't want to spoil it because it makes the scenes less impactful. Velvet saying, is this a film that has to be seen in the theater? Don't ask me that. Not to ask me that. See this movie in a theater to support it. It is it's an independent film, right? So in that respect, yes, see it in the theater, because not only are you respecting an independent film being in the theater at the same time as a titanic juggernaut like Wakanda Forever, which is just made literally to take your money. This is a movie that clearly has passion in it and art in it, right? And this movie is all about when your art gets bastardized to a point where it no longer gives you joy, but you are still the artist, and the world around you is squeezing you to the point where you hate your own art, and this is the only way to lash out, right? And to fight back. And it's so much fun, because there's some serious themes that are being dealt with, but it's a black comedy, so you've got all of like the violence and the suspense gets turned on its head and becomes fun and enjoyable in a way where you're rooting for the bad guys, and because you can, if you're a decent human, you can sympathize with the bad guys, and maybe you've been in this position before where the bad guys have, and you've wanted to do this, and Ray Fiennes delivers these monologues, these beautiful, elegant monologues that, I mean, if I was What's Good Guy, I probably would 1-star this movie too, because I'm not going to get it. And this movie's not an art film by any stretch of the imagination, but this movie is about art and appreciation of art and consumption of art, and the people that generally get reserved to consume it first are the ones that appreciate it the absolute least. And I'm probably going to see this movie in theaters again because I had that much fun, and I want to take some of my service industry friends to see it. For all these people that have been like having service industry tourism lately with movies like or TV shows like The Bear or whatever, was it The Bear? The one where he's in the Chicago sandwich shop. This is very much for people that actually work in the service industry, and you can get a taste of it, but this movie is also going to remind you that if you've never been in this, then you don't really know, but maybe you should appreciate a little bit better. And it's I can't say enough good things about this movie because I had such a good time watching this movie, and go see this movie. Don't go see The Fabelmans because it's Spielberg. Don't go see Wakanda Forever because you're contractually obligated by Disney to watch it. Movie Albert says, I like Anna Taylor-Joy. I do too. And she makes a really good final girl. That's kind of where we got our biggest initial taste of her when she kind of broke out from being we'll just say an up and comer. She's only been really big in theaters or big in movies since like the 2015, where she came in as the witch. Again, more final girl stuff, but Split. She's just been really good at being this. And Last Night in Soho, The Northman. She's got a really interesting, cool look about her. But in this movie, they did a really, really cool final girl twist. And I am not going to spoil this final girl twist, but, the traditional final girl is up against all odds, kicking, screaming, fighting, and she's the last one to survive, because she fought the hardest and was the one that no one expected to survive. And yes, she's still the final girl, right? But the way that she gets out is handled so beautifully. And, I read some reviews where someone didn't get it. And I'm like, it was so heavy-handed and obvious. How did you not get it? And again, clearly not understanding the evolution of passion in someone's trade, like the chef in this film. She discovers his origins, right, and kind of puts two and two together of what his passions might be, and to be able to tap into an artist's passion, because this whole movie is about an artist who lost his passion but still has to create his art, and then she manages to find a moment to reignite his passion. And that's all I'm going to say. And it's just it was a really good way of she didn't defeat him, she didn't fight anybody really, but she was able to escape by understanding what was going on here. It's great. It's for being a dark comedy where people get murdered, it is one of the more human movies I've seen in theaters for a while, even though they're doing some hilariously bananas stuff. So, I highly recommend this movie. I think you should check it out. And it is in theaters this weekend. You can check it out. Go see it for Thanksgiving. It's all about dinner. It's all about food. It's the perfect Thanksgiving movie. And maybe it will teach you to appreciate the people serving you food, or cleaning up your theater, or pulling the paper towels out of your toilet when you decide to be a jerkwad. So, and it might make you think twice, because maybe we'll stab you next time if you don't. So, The Help, The Menu, respect them both. Finger foods, mwahaha. Let's see here. Okay, it's about that time. We gotta start wrapping the show up. We gotta do the box office roundup right now. So let me pull up my box office totals here. If you're a new viewer to the show, the way the box office roundup works, we give you the top 10 movies in America, starting with number 10, going our way up to number 1. We do domestic numbers only for a reason, and it's because we that's where all the people that make these decisions on green lights and sequels, they use domestic box office numbers to determine if they're going to get another one. So we'll start with number 10. We'll work our way up to number 1. Here we go. Number 10, The Banshees of Inisherin, which I just talked about with Movie Albert. He mentioned it on Twitch. It brought in another $729,000 at the box office this weekend. Its 5th weekend in release. Granted, it's been an extremely limited release. It's still only in 800 theaters nationwide. It's from Searchlight Pictures, which is no longer Fox Searchlight because Disney bought it. But it has brought its total domestic gross up to $7.1 million. Vince, no, Jake is not going to Skype in for the box office. Not this week. I like having him do it these days. I mean, I did it for almost all of the history of the show, but I like giving Jake another task, and he likes doing it, so it works out. Number 9, Pray for the Devil, bringing in $919,000 at the box office on its 4th weekend from Lionsgate, bringing it up to $18.3 million nationwide. Number 8, Smile, still up here in the top 10, bringing in another $1.1 million. Not a bad box office weekend. It's a little more spread out than it was last weekend because everything was so Wakanda heavy. But 8 weekends in release from Paramount Pictures, bringing in $104 million domestically. A lot of money there for Smile, considering it is just a horror movie, a jump scare movie. It's pretty wild. Number 7, Lyle Lyle Crocodile, bringing in $1.9 million from Sony Pictures Entertainment, bringing it up to $43.1 million nationwide. Number 6, She Said, coming out in just over 2,000 theaters nationwide, but only opening up at number 6 with $2.2 million at the box office. Universal Pictures there. Not a great opening, but we'll see what this weekend has to add because it is a holiday weekend. Number 5, Ticket to Paradise, still holding in there for whatever reason, but dropping from the number 3 spot, bringing in $3.1 million up against its 5 weeks in release. Universal Pictures bringing in a total of $61.5 million. And yes, I am also still surprised it is at number 5. Number 4, Black Adam, coming in at $4.6 million this weekend, dropping from the number 2 spot. 5 weekends in release from Warner Brothers, bringing in $157 million nationwide. Number 3, The Chosen, Season 3, Episode 1 and 2, getting a larger release than I thought. It's a Fathom event, and Fathom events are not there every day. But it did really, really well for itself. Brought in $8.2 million in its opening. And again, think about this. It made more average per theater than the number 2 movie, but since it was in less screens, and still made $8.2 million. That's saying something. Number 2 movie in America, The Menu, but only bringing in $9 million at the box office in its opening week, and just over 3,200 theaters nationwide from Fox Searchlight there. So The Menu doing okay. Yeah, the Jesus movie. Yeah, the buses are coming out. Yep, that's how Jesus movies work. And then the number 1 movie in America, of course, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, still dropping 63% from its opening weekend, but still making $66 million at the box office. That is insane. Disney continues to own us forever. It has brought in a total of $287 million domestically in its 2 weekends in the U.S. It brought in another $250 million in the international market, bringing it up to just over $500 million, $545 million nationwide, making a lot of money because we knew it would, because that's the formula. That's how they get us. That's what it's going to do. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the box office chart from November 18th to 20th, 2022. And that's it, man. That's our show. I'm done. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go get some work done. I'm going to get ready for the Thanksgiving week. Go see a movie in the theater. Go see The Menu. Great Thanksgiving movie. Couldn't recommend it enough. And as Jay says over on Facebook, they see Wakanda as a failure. And that brings us back to a conversation that we've had a lot on the show about how can something make $500 million and still be considered a failure? And it's because the law of diminishing returns, number 1. But something I've been saying about like our free market capitalism economy for a while, not to turn this into an economy podcast, but the way that our economic system is set up, especially like the way our stock market's set up and consumer confidence and all this kind of stuff and shareholder confidence, where everything always has to be doing this. Like a plateau is bad, right? And so we're on a constant growth model. And then there is a point where constant growth is a zero-sum game. You can't always be growing. There is a point where you're going to hit a finite growth level, right? And so I think we have gotten past that. Like, sure, we can have these outliers, right? But when we're expecting all things to be hitting the outlier, record set, like everything has to be this now, that they're only going to make things that they think have to be this, and it's cheapening everything, and they're going to look at something like Wakanda Forever and go, well, it's a failure because it didn't make $5 billion, and where does that cap, and we're all going to be the ones punished for it. Adam on YouTube, you are welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Definitely see the menu. I think you'll enjoy it. And yes, there are only so many eyeballs. And it's just it's not a sustaining model, and I don't know how economists haven't figured that out yet. But it's probably because they're the ones making the money, and they're going to want it to keep growing as much as they can. Sometimes there's a point where we're going to just have to be satisfied with making $1 billion, and just being like, well, not bad, guys. When you spend 250 some odd 300 million, and you make you turn a couple of $100 million profit. I'd say that's a fucking win. I mean, especially when you talking about the menu, you're the service industry. You know how hard you have to work to make like $1, like $1. It's a lot of work. But then they're like, well, golly, we spent 3 months making this movie and another month in post-production, and we only made $400 million in profit. God, what a failure. We're not even talking about the merchandising. Corporate greed, ladies and gentlemen. What are you thankful for? Anyway, all right, that's our show. I'm going to get out of here. I will see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. I'm Bo, the Boom Operator. Like and subscribe. Download this podcast wherever it is you download podcasts if you don't want to follow along with the live stream. But like and subscribe everywhere you do live stream. We like Twitch because if you sub, we get the money. So it's super dope. So anyway, we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.